Good morning, traders. How are we doing today? I hope you guys are all doing good. It is early. It is 6 a.m. for me. I don't know what time it is for you, but let me know what time it is for you. Where are you tuning in from? Say hello. I want to meet you. I want to know who you are. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. My name is Jason Krutzky, and we are watching CPI today. That's what today is all about. Today is all about the CPI. This is one of the more important data readings that we're going to get this month, maybe the most important. We'll have to find out. We will not know until the end of the month what is going to move the markets, but it is highly anticipated that the CPI this month is going to be a big deal. So that's why we're here today. How are you guys doing this morning? Darren, what's up? Chris, what's up? Chris from San Angelo, Texas. Where's everybody tuning in from? Hit me with what you got. I'm also curious your expectations for today. Yesterday, I hung out with a good group of folks, a really cool group of folks. We had, who do we have? We had JC from All Star Charts. We had Brent Kachuba from Spot Gamma. We had Michael Guyad from Lead Lag Report. We had OG Trades from the Strat community. Some of y'all may know him. Greg Mitchell in Boulder. Get out of here, dude. I'm in Boulder too. Greg Mitchell, we got to hit the trail sometime, homie. Who else did we have? We had Ryan Rosbiani. We had Imran Lakha. We had a huge group of folks on a Twitter space yesterday talking about CPI, talking about the bank's earnings. We didn't get too much into bank's earnings because JC and Michael Guyad, as we expected, had a lot to say about CPI and about kind of all the things peripheral to CPI. If you were unable to tune into that conversation, I really, really strongly recommend taking the time to do so. I'm going to hit you guys with a link real quick. Here's the link to the conversation that we had yesterday with all those guys. They gave us a ton of valuable information. And, you know, specifically JC and Michael and Brent too, they gave us kind of like a big world view, kind of what's going on everywhere else. And, you know, sometimes we lose sight of what's going on all around the world by just looking at the SPY and looking at the Qs and looking at the IWM, looking at our three puny little indexes. There's a whole market of stocks out there, right? So it's good to know kind of where we stand right now all over the place. And they gave us a really good idea of that. So I would encourage you guys very strongly to click on that link there to the Twitter space. Give that thing a spin, you know, sometime in the near future, just to get caught up to speed and understand kind of where these guys are coming from. So good morning to you all, to everybody who's shuffled in here. Appreciate you guys all being here. Darren from Brisbane. What time is it in Brisbane right now? I feel like it's probably, is it tomorrow in Brisbane? We got Austin, Texas. Nippon, what's up, man? Von Holzman from the Netherlands. Nice. We got a nice little worldwide crew here with us this morning. I really do appreciate you guys being here. If you do not already subscribe to the TrendSpider TV channel, please go ahead and do that now. We try and do these lives as often as possible. When we're not doing lives, we're releasing TA videos and all kinds of additional video content just to, you know, try and help you guys as much as we can with whatever we can. So give us a like and subscribe. Hit that button. Everybody asks, oh, it's 11 p.m. for you. Nice. Well, you're staying up late tonight, huh? I guess you're staying up late for CPI. What are you guys thinking about CPI what are you guys thinking about CPI today? What are your expectations? Market says, or the guesstimate here is 6.5% year over year increase is kind of what they're expecting. Nice. We got another from Australia. Trent, what's up, Trent? Ziv from Prague, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, rather. Man, Prague is absolutely one of my most favorite cities I've ever traveled to. I loved Prague so much. A bunch of y'all here now. Thank you guys for being here. So let's talk about CPI. I don't know if you guys saw. I want to give like a very basic breakdown of what CPI is. I feel like that's important. I'm sure most of you guys know what CPI is, but for anybody tuning in who's not familiar with what CPI is, let's talk about it really, really briefly. CPI is released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They do this once per month, and this data is going to be for the month previous. So what we're getting today is for the month of December. CPI is a measure of average change in prices over time for a basket of goods and services consumed by households. Think food, think gas, think all these sorts of things. A sample is surveyed to find out what they buy, how much they pay for it. This data is collected monthly and used to calculate the overall change in prices. And I was actually reading this morning. Let me show you guys this. I didn't really know this, but this is kind of interesting. It's based on the prices of food, clothing, shelter, fuels, transportation fares, service fees, so like utilities, and sales tax. Prices are collected monthly from 4,000 housing units and approximately 26,000 retail establishments across 87 urban areas. So it seems like a really small sample size, but that's how they get these numbers. It's used as a measure of inflation and people's overall standard of living. So if prices are rising too rapidly, it can lead to, of course, decreased purchasing power and potentially hardships for consumers and businesses. If prices are not rising fast enough, you've got stagnant economic growth. So it's a balancing act, right? The Federal Reserve, however, this is why everybody's so keen on CPI. Federal Reserve uses it to measure the inflation rate and make policy decisions, right? We're going to be getting some understanding about the about the Federal Reserve's way of thinking, mindset. Like this is going to establish what we can anticipate for the Federal Reserve. Are they going to raise interest rates? And if so, by how much? A high CPI print gives the Fed more runway to tighten monetary policy, meaning they need to bring inflation down, so they're going to raise interest rates in order to do so. They've got a target inflation rate of 2%. Now, let's talk about what has happened in the past couple of CPI days. It's important to know kind of where we're coming from, where we've been, what's happened before. I'm zooming in here. I'm just on SPY. I'm using SPY. You could use whatever you want. In September, and I'm waiting. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Thank you, Sadie, for doing that. So in September, I don't have the actual, or I don't have the predicted amount, but the actual was 8.2%. My guess is that was hotter than expected. And subsequently, we had quite the move to the downside. Looks like about a 6% move from the announcement to the end of the day, that particular day. And it went on to fade. Wow. It went on to fade. Essentially, it made lows on November's CPI print. Yeah, higher than expected. Thank you, Sadie. Everybody shout out Sadie. She's helping me out with some numbers here on the back end. Okay, so September CPI, that was for August, hotter than expected, 8.2%, and we essentially faded lower all the way until November's CPI. SPY lost, wow, 16% from in between those two readings. November came in, so this would be October. Predicted was 8.1%. Actual was 7.7%. So about 0.4% less hot, cooler than anticipated. And because of that, what happens? The market rallies, right? To the tune of 6% in the day. And it continued to gain really all the way into December's print. And then we have December's print. And December's print, so again, this is for November, predicted was 7.6%. Actual was 7.1%. So again, 0.5% cooler than expected. And therefore, the market rips, rallies, and moves higher to the tune of, let's see, where to go. another about 6%. So as you can see, these days produce huge moves. Now, will today produce a huge move? I don't know. The prediction is 6.5%. Now, these numbers, think about this. This is not really anything that I'd really thought about up until now because I'm seeing the numbers. November predicted 7.6%. October predicted 8.1%. September predicted, my guess, because it increased, it was probably a little bit lower than that, maybe 8, maybe 7.9 or something for September. We're now predicting 6.5. It's a pretty big move lower, or that's a pretty, they've come off that number a lot. Okay, September predicted was 8.1, actual was 8.2, and the market lost 6% in that first day. And then again, remember it lost, ended up losing, or SPY ended up losing like 16% in between the month, or across the month, over the course of the month. So a very, very small difference in September, a small 0.1% hotter than expected, and we lost 6%. 5-ish, so October, let's see, October predicted was 8.1, actual was 7.7, so that's about a 0.4% difference cooler, and we gained 6%. November, about a 0.5% difference cooler, and we gained another 6%. So now we're expecting 6.5. And we got to think about this, right? If we're expecting 6.5, then that's probably putting us in a range, maybe 6.3 to 6.8, 6.2 to 6.8, something like that is what I would anticipate. I don't know. What do you guys think? If we come in at 6.5, that's a full percent lower than last month. That's actually that's coming off the number quite a bit. So I don't know. These are all things that we should be thinking about when we're trying to decide how to position for this. Are you guys, before we go any further, are you guys positioned for this? How many of y'all are in positions right now with an expectation of what's going to happen? And how many of y'all are on the sidelines planning to let it play out? I'm really curious to know what y'all's, how you guys are positioned for this. Hit me with it. Hit me. There are 80 of y'all here, and I've said hello to 5 people. Please say hello. Where are you tuning in from? What time is it for you? Bruno. All right, Bruno, you're on the sidelines. I think that's a pretty wise decision. The same stop entry. Oh, you're doing that too. So I am game. Let's talk. Are you putting like a buy stop up here and a sell stop down here? Is that kind of your plan? And then whichever way it goes, it gets hit. Is that how you're thinking about this? Germany, Bruno, what's up? Morali, hello. Jackhammer, sidelines, all right. AV, what's up, man? Hope you're good. Daniel's on the sidelines. All right, so far, most folks on the sidelines want to trade. Venice, sidelines. All right. Oh, no, chat got disconnected. Please reconnect, chat. Hopefully our chat will reconnect because I want to talk to you guys. Darren's letting this one play out. So far, everybody's on the sidelines. That's cool. You guys are responsible traders. Unable to connect to chat. What is this? Hold on. Let me find out what's going on here. Bummer. I've lost the chat. Let me see if I can reconnect here. All right, they're trying to connect me again. Well, while we wait, I am curious to know if this is your plan. I am game. I've done this a couple of times myself because it can work. You know, when you have these big moves, you can set stops, sells, and buys on either side. I don't necessarily recommend it because it can certainly be sketchy, but it can be done. Dang, unable to connect to chat. This is really frustrating, y'all. Just got you guys starting to talk to me, and now I can't connect. All right, so let's look at where we're at on the charts here. So on SPY, and I don't really use too many indicators. I only have the 200-day moving average up here because, gosh darn it, everybody looks at the 200-day moving average. There isn't a single trader out there that hasn't spent some time considering, at the very least, considering what's going on the 200-day moving average. Okay, so my chat is still disconnected, but Sadie's going to be my chat person. Kavita, you're neutral. You were long into it and booked a lot of profit. Good job, man. All right, so I am game. Yeah, above 401. So you've got buy stop set above 401, 402, and then below 393. Yep, interesting, man. It's an interesting strategy. It only works on days like today. And that's assuming that we get a huge move today. That's assuming that we get a ripper in either direction, which we very well might. We are coming up 14 minutes on the announcement. Please let us know, type in the chat, let us know what tickers you guys want to watch. I'm going to switch over to multi-chart view a couple minutes before the announcement, and we will watch everything that you guys want to watch, and hopefully it'll work better than it did last week. Last week we had a little bit of an issue for non-farm payrolls, but I have taken the proper precautions and upped my game over on my internet. So hopefully things will be better then. All right, so SPY chilling at the 200-day moving average, kind of gaining it here in pre-market, and it has spent a ton of time trying to get back above this 200-day moving average, and it really has not been able to. So this might be a pretty important or a pretty important day for the markets en masse. I kind of feel like, whether or not you guys know me, if you don't know me, I am a price action trader. I try and keep things as simple as possible. And the first thing I notice here, we've got a low on SPY, we got a higher low on SPY, and we held that higher low. It looked like this could potentially break down, and they chose to take it to the other side. So to me, the logical next place is to come up here and test those previous highs, just because that's the style that's kind of the style of trading. Kavita, DXY and TLT. So what I can do is I can throw up UUP. Looks like markets are already kind of starting to move here. So UUP is going to be the proxy. It's the ETF for DXY. So we'll just keep that up. What else? TLT. I'm going to throw this on the Fiverr. If there's anything else in particular you guys want to watch, just let me know. Hit me with your requests. We can watch up to 16 symbols. I've got ES here in the top left panel, NQ, RTY, so that covers us on SPY, the Qs, and IWM. I've got Bitcoin here on the top right panel. Hit me what else. Hit me with anything else you guys want to watch. So on SPY, higher lows over the past, since October, 3-4 months, really. Higher lows and higher highs. Not really a downtrend to me. And again, coming back into that 200-day moving average, they say nothing good happens under a 200-day moving average. Well, right now we're not under it. So it's something to consider. Let me go to QQQ. QQQ, not looking as good. The only thing about QQQ that we can really point to and say, hey, that's okay, is we're holding these lows. All right, we got more people. Matt P, Apple. We add Apple here. Man, markets are going, huh? I wonder if something got leaked. Robbie, hello from Maryland. Hello to you, Robbie. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Hit me with tickers if you need. If anybody needs other tickers, feel free to hit me with them. And I'm going to come back into this view here shortly. QQQs. Like I said, the only thing we got going for the Qs is we held some lows. And That's important. We didn't make new lows. We held lows. So they couldn't break this down. This 260 area on the Qs is just, if this goes, when this goes, it's going to be nasty. Keep your eyes on it. IWM, same. It's like right in the middle, right? It's kind of in between what SPY looks like and what the Qs look like. Technically a higher low relative to the September lows, but we kind of took out these pivots in here. So that's a little concerning. We are getting up above the 200-day moving average. Not as concerning. Hard to say. There was something, let me see here. Somebody called this to my attention. Let me grab it real quick. I'm grabbing volume by price. This is a super popular indicator. I'm pulling from highs. Looks like IWM found support at the point of control from the all-time high. That's where the most buyers are located. That's where the most volume has occurred. And that's a good sign. That's what you would want to see, really. You don't want to see price below it, that's for sure. Let me go back to SPY here and see. I want to say that point of control was important here on this guy too. Yeah, so same deal. Point of control from the highs. Price finding support there on SPY. And the Q's not looking quite as good coming up into point of control now. So this could be an important spot where the Q's could pause, 282. Somewhere thereabouts. Not saying that it will, but you can see how important it's been up to this point. What's up, George? Hope you're good. CC. All right. We got a bunch of new ads here. Hold on. Let me do this. This really sucks that my chat's not working. Let me go over here. Let me throw up some symbols you guys are wanting to watch. I'm going to stay here now. MSFT. We got Microsoft for for Jackhammer. I got you, homie. Let me throw up a few more. TSM for CC. There you go, sir or ma'am. AMD. Everybody, shout out Sadie. She's hooking me up and letting me know what you guys are all asking for. So thank you, Sadie, for helping us. We really appreciate it. Hello, Chris O'Neill. Is it a good time to invest in oil since the gas prices are slowly rising? It's tough to say, man. I can't really speak to that, if I'm honest. I'd say just use your... We can look at the chart. Let's throw up XLE. I know XLE is not just oil, but let's keep an eye on it and just see what it does here. So here's XLE. What else? KJ from rainy London. What's up, KJ? Philippe from France. How's it going? George, what's up, bro? Mike, AMD looks good. Bronco, greetings from Belgrade. What's up, Bronco? Bronco? Jamie Liu from Singapore. What's up, Jamie? How are you? All right, so we got about 6 minutes until the announcement. The markets are looking super strong here. Before the announcement, we're going to hang out and just watch during the announcement, and we can chat about what's going on and what everybody's thinking. But I want to let you guys know, please stick around. After the announcement, we'll probably watch until kind of price action cools off or kind of chills out a little bit. Earnings season is coming up. The banks, JPM, BAC, Citibank, Wells Fargo, they all report pre-market tomorrow morning, and that kicks off earnings season. And I want to spend a little bit of time on the back end of this show going over actionable ways that you can utilize the TrendSpider platform to make earnings season a little bit more navigable for you. There are a ton of tools available on the platform that you can utilize to kind of help gauge a better understanding of earnings, simply knowing when they're occurring, scanning for them, utilizing analyst estimates. There are some very popular earnings plays that we can talk about. I have one in mind that I want to share with you guys. And I want y'all to be able to walk away from the show today with something you can use over the next, month and a half or however long earnings lasts. Again, earnings season kicks off tomorrow with the banks. They might be setting the tone. And I want to give you guys something. Obviously, you guys are here, so props to y'all for being here. If y'all stick around past the initial announcement and the initial move in price action, I want y'all to be able to take home something that you can utilize. So I'll be sharing maybe a scan or two and just kind of showing you guys around the platform where various tools are located that you can utilize to just help you throughout earnings season. So please do stick around for that. KJ, you bought your lotto ticket yesterday for the SPY swing. All right. Good luck to you, KJ. We got about 4 minutes left here. Last predictions. Hit me with your last predictions. What do you guys think? What's the market going to do here? Oh, what time is it? My side. George, it is 6:26 for me. I'm in Colorado, Mountain Time. Who else I got? Greg Mitchell. If you're still here, me and Greg Mitchell are neighbors, I guess. I didn't know that, but it's good to know. It's good to see somebody tuning in from Boulder. Beautiful, beautiful Boulder. It was not beautiful here yesterday, but today is supposed to be. All right, so again, ES, NQ, RTY, Bitcoin up here in the top right. We got UUP. This is the ETF that tracks the dollar. We got the TLT, the 20-year Treasury. We got Apple. We got Microsoft. We got Taiwan Semiconductor. We got AMD. You guys like your tech names here. We got XLE, and we should just come up with something to put here. Let's do USO. There's your oil. Giovanni, what's up? Fort Collins, shout out. Sammy Baby says down bigly. Josh Jude says 405. Market up 700 points, Robbie. KJ says SPY 400 plus. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning on the side of the bulls here. Like maybe they dump it initially just because they've ramped it already. So maybe they dump it initially, but I kind of have a feeling that they buy it back. We got 2 minutes. Anybody else want to make predictions before things get cracking here? Trent Brady, 2 minutes. James, yeah, so that it is kind of interesting. Biden has an interview, probably to like claim some victory. Okay, here we go. We got to move. Initial pop. USO not really doing much. And they are ramping into this thing. And let's see here. And there's the sell-off. All right. See that? Those tricky market makers. Had a feeling they were going to do that. Did any of y'all anticipate that? It's just too good to be true when they ramp things like that. All right, so then what was the number? CPI. Ah, so it came in line. Came in line and we dump. Huh. That's interesting. (6.8% year over year). Hold on. So we got. I'm getting different numbers. My team says 6.6% year over year expected was, or rather 6.5% year over year, and expected was 6.5. So in line. But it looks like, from what I'm seeing from you guys, it looks like different numbers are going around. Russ says 6.8. Alpha says 6.6. So there's some, sounds like there's some misinformation out there. Oh, or was this your predictions? I guess these could have been your predictions, huh? Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that they're going to buy it back to in line. One thing that we have not seen, or we did not see in the past 3 months from when we went over the review of how the markets reacted the past 3 times, we never saw anything that was in line. It was always higher or lower than anticipated. I'm zooming in here on NQRTY. Bitcoin kind of down a few $100. Microsoft down, Apple down. USO, zooming. You're asking about oil. USO is doing all right. TSM actually hanging in there too. Well, hold on. Let me see something. Yeah, TSM is hanging in there. AMD kind of took a bit of a hit. XLE, a little bit of a hit, not much. Jobless claims are down. That's an important one. So it looks like they're consolidating down here. Let's see if they buy it back up now. Starting to buy it back up. Interesting. Interesting. I'm going to flip back over, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to flip back over to a single chart. Just so that we can kind of like deep dive on just some analysis type things. One thing I really like to do. Let me turn this guy off. Let me turn this guy off too. One thing I really like to do, y'all, is anchored VWAPs from important places. So on the TrendSpider platform, super easy to add an anchored VWAP. You just right click on the candle that you want to add it to, and then choose Create Alpha Trends Anchored VWAP here. And what this is, it's just it's a volume weighted average price, but it's anchored from a particular point. My guess is most of you are probably familiar with these, but if you're not, what's cool about it is, you know, those VWAPs reset every day. Well, this will not reset. This will stay anchored to this candle until I turn it off. And this gives me a good idea of what's going on from a particular point in time. Where are my buyers and who's doing well, who's not doing well, where's price relative to where your average buyer is. So from the move lower, anchoring a VWAP can be really powerful, because obviously this represents kind of a new paradigm shift, right? Everybody understands what's going on now. So, or everybody understands CPI. It's all known. So now they can start pricing it in. And knowing where your buyers are from that point in time can be really helpful. Price above it, then your average buyer is in the money on the trade. Price below it, your average buyer is losing on the trade. So you're using it kind of as a potential area of support resistance. Obviously, this thing has been living here for 7-8 candles, and they're 1 minute candles. So it's not going to be super powerful, but as time goes on, it'll be more and more powerful. So this will be something that I'll be watching all day. I always anchor a VWAP on a day like today. Always anchor a VWAP to kind of the first candle of the move, and then I let that VWAP be my guide for the day, just to understand the polarity there. Are buyers in control? Are sellers in control? Period. Can be super, super helpful. I recommend it strongly. All right, so they faded the initial announcement. They have bought back up all the way. They've essentially bought the whole thing back up. But now that we know that it's in line, we also know that it was expected. How does that fare for us? What do we think? To me, it's kind of like, well, if they expected 6.5 and it was 6.5, if they expected it, then they priced it in coming into it, right? And that's what we got. So then does price just kind of continue to hang out here? I wonder if we go flat. I mean, I don't know. Curious your thoughts. What do you guys think? My chat still isn't working, so I really don't know. Yeah, Carlos, exactly. Both sides clapped. That's exactly right. DXY. We can pop back over and look at UUP. We're not seeing it on UUP. Doesn't mean it's not happening on DXY. We just don't have DXY on TrendSpider. James, what's up, man? Saucier. Daniel Magnuson. Oh, Golden Zone Fib. You mean low to high? Just of today, James? Give me a little bit of feedback there. Sorry, I'm catching up on all of y'all's comments here. Ooh, what's going on with silver? Let's look. AG gaining. Everybody's been talking the metals, that's for sure. PAAS gaining. What's up with gold? Gold gaining. Base until next FOMC. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering, James. Robbie says it should drop. Josh, I think Josh hit the nail on the head here. Theta wins. Doesn't it always? We'll look at EURUSD. Everybody wanted to see that. So taking out essentially both sides. Very interesting. Well, it'll be really interesting to see what happens here into market open. We've got about an hour, 50 minutes or so until the market open. We've obviously seen a very powerful move, but not quite as powerful as the past couple. And I would imagine that's because we came in line as opposed to being hotter or cooler than expected. What did they fail at? What, like 2%, 1.5% move to the downside there? Remember, past couple ones have been like 6% moves on the day. So this might not be over. They could totally continue the hijinks here, either to the upside or to the downside. Maybe they're trying to hold a higher low here. I don't know. They didn't make a higher high, so they're just kind of consolidating. and we'll see what they do. I'm happy to keep on watching this with you guys. But I also, like I said, I really want to get you guys some tools that you can use coming into earnings season. I want y'all to be aware of where everything lives on the platform that you can use to kind of make earnings season assessments. I know a lot of you, or a lot of folks in general, have pretty strong feelings about how to navigate earnings seasons. Some people like to play the lottos. They like to come into an earnings announcement prepared, maybe on either side. Oh, hold on one second. Jason, is there a way to one-click delete a trend line, or you have to right-click select it? Yeah, hold enter. Hold enter and click on it. So here's a trend line. This is just like horizontal. But if you hold either shift or enter and click it, that'll delete it. If you're wanting to click, or if you're wanting to remove multiples, then a right click and remove all. But the fastest way, in my opinion, is the shift click there. James Saucier. Yeah, so getting back to earnings, lots of people don't touch them. And that's probably smart, kind of like today, right? It's very tricky. They can be very tricky to play earnings. First thing that I think about is, how does inflation affect earnings? There's a lot of talk out there. I had a comment. There was a Reuters quote yesterday talking about, Josh, we'll talk about XLF here shortly. There's a Reuters quote about essentially that earnings were going to be terrible because of money being more expensive, less deals. They were specifically talking about banks, saying that bank earnings were going to be terrible. And I can't speak to how anybody's going to do, but let's pop over to XLF and have a look at it, because XLF to me is in kind of an interesting spot. Remove this guy. I'm going to a monthly here. And the first thing that I see, I cannot unsee this, is that you've got your 2008 highs. You've got your 2018, 2017 highs. You've got your 2020 highs. I mean, this is like classic technical analysis, price action 101 stuff, right? Old support, or rather old resistance becoming new support. XLF is holding exactly where it needs to, in my opinion. And they tried to fail it. They even made a new low and immediately bought it back up in October. So September they make a new low, and then they take it out with a big, almost like a engulfing a 3 for all of my stratters out there. It's almost a 3. It's not quite a 3, but what is this? A 2 down, 2 up reversal, right? Big, strong, powerful move, and now they're consolidating sideways. And I imagine that this consolidation sideways, because they're inside this month, I imagine this is going to get resolved once we get some earnings back. But for the time being, XLF is looking pretty darn good. This is what you would want to see with these old highs. And this is what, 14, 15-year highs that we were able to gain, 14-year highs we were able to gain in 2021. We've come back, we've tested, we've held, and we've bounced. So the logical thinking here, just basic logical thinking, is that we're probably going to come up and make a new high. Whether we do or not, who knows? But that's kind of what you would think with XLF. So for me, shorting XLF for bank earnings seems tricky just based off of what it's done on the bigger time frames. Not saying it doesn't work, but what's your time frame for your trade, right? You're going to be in this trade for an hour, or you're going to be in this trade for a month or a quarter or 6 months. It really depends on the way that you're thinking about that, Josh. But when it comes to earnings, again, like I said, there are lots of tools that you can utilize on the platform to give you an understanding of what's going on with earnings. First of all, I'm just going to go to, is it okay? Actually, let me ask real quick. Do you guys do we want to talk about this stuff now? Or do we want to go back to SPY and keep our eyes on things? I'm open to whatever y'all want to do. I'm hanging out with you guys. You guys are making the rules. I'm just trying to give you the best stuff I can give you while I'm here. So hit me with what you got. You want to keep on watching this as it moves, or do you want a little lesson on some TrendSpider functionality? And we're gonna build some scans together. I'm gonna hook you guys up with some scans so that you have them. You guys decide here, though. Because like I say, I'm open to whatever. Until then, I'm going to throw up the SPY chart and look at what's going on here. Oops, let me remove this from here. Looks like they're trying to hold that anchored VWAP. Looks like a bunch of volume just came in, too, on that last candle. Trying to hold a higher low. Functions, TrendSpider, Robbie, man, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. We've got a couple people want the TrendSpider functionality. So let's hit you guys with TrendSpider functionality. I'm going to go to JPM. Go into the daily. We're going to start off with the basics because in order to understand how to utilize things, you got to understand the basics. The first basic, go up to other data, click on the three dots. I'm going to turn these guys off real quick. We got earnings. Right? Click those on. It's important. You got to know if you're going to be fooling around in earnings season, you got to know when earnings are. So turn on earnings and you're going to see where earnings are every month or every quarter on the chart, right? You can very quickly gauge kind of what the results were down here at the bottom. You'll see the earnings, you'll see the move, you'll see whether it was a positive or negative surprise, this little S negative or S positive. That would be a positive or negative earnings surprise. You can also, let me see here, let me go. If you expand your indicator list and you go to the earnings, you'll see it right here. Click on the three dots. You can change the label. I'll just make these brighter so you guys can see them better. You can choose kind of a short. This is just like when the earnings dates are. We've got standard and full, so like different amounts of data that we're going to show you in the indicator itself. Where it's aligned, these just, like I said, this is really basic stuff, but it's important to know where it is. The second piece that you can utilize during earnings season, and you can utilize this not during earnings season too. It's just that analyst estimates have a tendency to come in around earnings, right? Analysts will make an estimate about a company after an earnings result. So turn on your analyst estimates. And let me turn off volume real quick so you can see them. Analyst estimates, there's a couple of ways to view them. I'm actually going to turn off the earnings dates too, just so that we can focus on analyst estimates. Down at the bottom of your screen, this is kind of the most, in my opinion, it's kind of the most impactful way to view them because you can see where they are and how they compare to each other. You're going to see three different blocks here, three different colors of blocks. You'll see green ones with B's in them. You'll see gray ones with H's. You'll see red ones with S's. So I assume you probably understand what that means. A B for buy, an H for hold, an S for sell. If a block is all one color, that is a reiteration of a previous estimate, of their most previous estimate. So all of these green B's here, that's all reiterations. If you hover over the block itself, you'll see who made the estimate. So in this particular one is Chris Krutzky from Oppenheimer confirmed it was a buy. So he had said it was a buy previously. It's still a buy today for him, or as of July 18th. These are obviously the most recent analyst estimates. So you can just hover over it and immediately see who the analyst is, where they work, and what they say about it. Sometimes you're going to see blocks that are half one color, half another, like this one right here. It's green on the left-hand side. It's gray on the right-hand side. It's got an H in it. So on the left-hand side, that's the previous estimate. The right-hand side is the most recent estimate. So it's gone from this particular analyst said it was a buy previously. Looks like Matt O'Connor from Deutsche Bank. He downgraded it, right? He said it was a buy previously. Now he's saying it's a hold. Is that a bad downgrade? No, not necessarily. The nasty ones are the ones that go from buy to sell. What's also interesting is when somebody goes from a sell to a buy. That's a big jump to make. This Betsy Grace from Morgan Stanley, she upgraded from a sell to a buy back in December here on JPM. Now, the quality of these particular analysts, I can't speak to, who's the best analyst, who's the worst, who's stereotypically right, who's stereotypically wrong, but it's all available here. So you can kind of make those determinations. You can also just gauge analyst sentiment by looking at what do the blocks look like? Are they mostly green? Are they mostly buys? Are they mostly sells? Are they indecisive? How do the professionals who get paid for a living to dig into companies and figure out exactly how to feel about them, how these investment banks and things should be looking at these companies? Hugely powerful little tool to help you with earnings, because again, analyst estimates are going to come, oftentimes they're going to come on the heels of earnings. So by knowing that, you can kind of be looking out for what the analysts are saying about a particular name. Now, I also want to show you guys in your sidebar here, top right, go to add remove and say add new, and you can choose analyst estimates. And we can see a kind of a different breakdown of the analyst estimates toolbar. Like I said, this one to me is a little bit easier to read. I understand this better because it's on the day that they made the estimate. You can see how price reacted after they made the estimate, after a group of them made the estimate. We had a bunch of buys come in on this particular day. And I assume, let me throw up earnings real quick. Yeah, so you have a bunch of buys come in on earnings day. And what happens? You get a 16% move to the upside. Of course, it did go make a new low too, but you had a bunch of reiterations of buys on an earnings day, and then price managed to gain. It's a signal, It's something to watch for, something you can use to make a kind of a more informed decision. Again, though, on the right-hand side, in your analyst estimates, each one of these individual thin bars, you can kind of see how they're highlighting. These are all individual estimates. And the blocks here are when they change their mind or when they reiterate. Each of these light blocks represents a new estimate. So sometimes it's a reiteration, sometimes it's not. So this particular analyst here, this Betsy lady, she became very bearish on JPM about four weeks ago and has remained that way since. So that's kind of the general idea here. Or rather, I'm sorry, she became bullish. She went from a sell to a buy. So she became bullish. She had estimated, or she had said this was a sell essentially 9 months ago, and she had reiterated, and then she changed her tone. So it'd be kind of interesting to dig in, Google search this person and find out why she changed her tone. We don't really know why she did, but I'm just thinking through how I think about this stuff in hopes that it could kind of help you in how you think about this stuff. Maybe you didn't even know this tool existed. All right, so those are some of the periphery tools that you can use. Now let's talk about let's talk about kind of other ways you can use those tools. And the first way that comes to mind, really the kind of the big way that comes to mind for me, is the scanner. Because it's earnings season, it's going to be very hard for you to keep track of every single symbol that is announcing earnings, how those earnings end up going, what analysts say about them. So you can use the scanner to find all that stuff if you know specifically what you're looking for. So if we pop into the market scanner, I've just turned on the market scanner here using the button top right. And if we go down, so for anybody who's relatively new to TrendSpider, the market scanner utilizes our scripting functionality. It's no code, so it's super easy. All you have to do is kind of think through the ideas that you're trying to write, and the platform kind of walks you through it all, and I'll kind of show you how. If you click add parameter here and you select condition, you have to choose what kind of condition you want to define. You can choose a price condition. Oh, hold on. So these estimates are really based on how much the banks generates from the clients. I don't know. I don't know how an analyst makes their estimate, to be completely honest, John. Like with somebody who makes that big of a change, like this girl, Betsy, this is an anomaly to me, right? If you look at the rest of the analyst estimates, they pretty much tend to just reiterate. There isn't a lot of sway here. But she's made an about face. She made a huge pivot. So that would cause me to like investigate her and say, why did she make this big pivot? And I would imagine a Google search might be able to help me get there. So I would like Google search Betsy Grace, Morgan Stanley, and see. I bet that there's an article, or I bet there's some sort of write-up out there that you could find that speaks to why she's made this huge pivot. Looks like I'm watching on my other screen here, and it looks like SPY is making almost getting into a new daily high here, trying to anyway. Interesting. So anyway, getting back to the scanner. Dawson York, what's up? Good morning from Phoenix. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching the videos. I do appreciate it. Thank you everybody for tuning in and being here and sticking around for this section of the video. I feel like this is kind of the best part because you're actually learning how to utilize the platform. But I understand there's probably quite a few folks who aren't TrendSpider users. If you're not yet a TrendSpider user, now is the time. She stopped receiving as much fees. It's possible, man. I don't know. She got bullish though. She went from being very bearish to being bullish, and not just like a little bit bullish, but a lot bullish. She's saying buy. She's not saying hold. So she totally changed her tone. Why? Okay, I'm gonna look it up when I'm done here. Anyway, getting back into the scanner. Let's talk scanning. You can scan for price conditions. You can scan for indicator conditions. You can scan for candlestick pattern conditions. You can scan for chart pattern conditions. But what I want to talk about is earnings dates, earnings values, and you got analyst estimates. So I'm going to go to analyst estimates first. Now we can define analyst estimates X days ago. 3 days ago, analyst estimates did this within the last X days or today. So think of this as an additional condition that you can add to your scans, where if you're looking for anything earnings related, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be during earnings, but it would make sense, right? If there were earnings recently and some analysts upgraded or to a buy or whatever. So let's say X days ago, and we could input anything, whatever. And again, we're not in earnings season right now, so I can't really run this scan because there's not really any earnings going on. But I'm setting this up for you guys so that you can play with it, or so that you understand how to play with it as the time goes on, as the weeks progress. If we click on where it says analyst estimates, this is where it gets kind of interesting, right? We can choose any analyst. We can pick specific firms that we want to highlight here. If we have a particular one, I don't know if you do. If you do, you can pick it. But for me, I'm just going to say any. And then the action that they took, what action did they take? Did they upgrade? Did they downgrade? Did they confirm? Did they initiate? So an initiate would be then taking a first stance, right, on a stock. That could be initiate, sell, initiate, buy, whatever. Upgrade, downgrade, confirm would be just a reiteration. So they had a belief, they reiterated, or they confirmed. So maybe in this case, I want to say upgrade, and then you can choose what they upgrade to. Did they upgrade to a buy, a hold, or a sell? Well, in this case, I want to choose buy. So any analyst upgraded to a buy 3 days ago. See how we can, like, we're filtering now for very specific analyst estimate conditions. This is super powerful, right? Let's add some stuff here. So let's go to condition, and let's say earnings dates. On earnings dates, we can decide if we want it to be X days ago, within the last X days, in X days, within the next X days, or today. So, you're giving yourself bookends on either side Just this alone is helpful, right? If I know that I want earnings to be within the next 3 days, any stock with earnings within the next 3 days, that's what I want to know about. You could actually just turn off the analyst estimates and you could just scan for earnings within the next 3 days. If you're looking for particular names to get into, see, I can actually scan for this. Let's go to NYSE composite. And I can run this scan and I'm going to get every single symbol that has earnings in the next 3 days. So we've got Delta Airlines and Citibank, like we said, Bank of America, United Healthcare, JP Morgan. So what you might want to use this for is you might want to use this for just knowing simply what names have earnings within the next 3 days and kind of what they've done on previous earnings dates, where they are within price action, and how they've tended to perform. On Delta here, we had an earnings, it looks like a negative surprise, past 2 earnings, positive surprise back in April of last year. All of this stuff can help us gauge what to expect and kind of help us prepare for coming into earnings season. If you're the type of person that likes to go wild and play these 0 DTEs the day before an earnings or weekly expiry options the day before earnings, this is a good way to very quickly and easily find all of the names that have earnings coming up. I want to give you guys something actionable. I think all of that stuff that I just walked you through is super basic. And I feel like if you're a TrendSpider, you probably should be able to manage all of that on your own. So I want to talk through like a very particular setup, and I'll share that scan with you once we talk through it. If you have any problems recreating any of those things on your own, feel free to hit us up down here, bottom right-hand corner of the platform here where it says contact us. This is a direct feed into our employee chat room. We have live employees in chat Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. These guys are in here answering your questions, helping build scans. Whatever questions you have about the platform, these guys are here to answer them. So never hesitate to reach out to us. No question is too small. If you need help understanding how to build anything in the platform or find anything in the platform, whatever it may be, hit us up in chat. So one earnings play that I hear a lot about and that I'm personally interested in, which is why I'm going to share with you guys, is the power earnings gap. I'm sure you've heard about it. There's tons of guys on FinTwit who talk about PEGs. You've seen PEG, power earnings gap is what that stands for. And what a power earnings gap is you have essentially a big gap up or a big gap down. Generally, people don't care so much about the big gap downs. They're really more interested in the big gap ups because something very, very important has happened to cause price to powerfully gap up. So we're looking for a big gap up. We're looking for it on volume, meaning, maybe above average volume. We're looking for a pretty big daily candle too. You really kind of want to see that the candle closed quite higher than it opened. So you want to see a big gap up on volume and closing quite higher than it opened. Pretty simple stuff. Let's talk about how to script it. The first thing we want to do is we want to find the gap up, right? So let's define the gap up. How do we do that? We're going to do that via price conditions. So we're going to say add parameter here. We're going to select condition. We're going to say price. We're going to say daily open is greater than price daily close, right? That's the first piece. Today's open is greater than the previous candle close, but we have to define the previous candle close too, do we not? We do. In order to do that, we need to click right here where it says last. This allows us to define the candle that we're referring to. So I'm going to say one candle ago. So we've got today's open is greater than yesterday's close. If you really want to, you could also say today's open is greater than yesterday's high, right? That would really get you the big gap up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I like to add that too. So we'll say daily price open is greater than price daily high one candle ago. So that really kind of sets it out, right? It says we have gapped up. You could define, if you wanted to, you could define buy at least as well. You could define a margin there. if you want. You don't have to, but you can. So if I wanted to, I could say, you know, it gapped up at least 1/4%. We'll keep it like that. Now, we need to define the today's candle, right? What does today's candle look like? Remember, we said that the close is greater than the open today, big green candle. So let's add that. So we'll say condition, price daily close is greater than price daily open, right? So this is just referring to today. We're not changing these at all. Today's close is greater than today's open. And again, we can click on those 3 dots here and we could say by at least X. And maybe we want to give this a bit higher of a margin, maybe 1%, maybe 0.5%. I don't know. I'm going to keep it kind of small here. I'm going to share this with you guys at the end, and you guys can do whatever you want with it. So we've got that we've gapped up. That's these 2 conditions here. We've got that we are green on the day by maybe a decent amount. And again, change this to whatever you want. We're going to say add parameter here. Now we need to add the volume condition. We need to say that we're doing this on higher than average volume. There's a lot of ways that you can define volume in the platform. My favorite way to define above average volume is using an indicator called RVOL. That's relative volume. So what RVOL does very basically is it compares the current volume, the volume on the current candle, to the average volume over a period of candles. So I'm going to go to indicator. I'm going to say daily. I'm going to search RVOL. It's relative volume right here. And I'm going to say greater than a constant value. Now, when RVOL is, let's say RVOL is equal to 0. If RVOL is 0, then what you're saying is that today's volume is equal to the average over the past, whatever your moving average length that you've chosen. By default, it's 20. So let's say your average volume on a particular stock is 1 million shares per day. If today's volume is 1 million shares, it's going to have an RVOL of 0 because it's the same, right? If your average volume on a stock is 1 million shares and today 3 million shares traded, then your RVOL value is going to be 3, right? 3x average volume. And this is what you kind of want to see. You don't just want to see the big gap up, and you don't just want to see the powerful close. You want to see that done on volume too. It kind of more confirms the move. So we want an RVOL value that's at least greater than maybe 1.5, maybe greater than 2. It's really up to you. Again, I really, really strongly encourage you guys to play around with this stuff and you know, see what comes up as results. So here's our gap up. This is just a very, very, essentially like a very simple, powerful gap up scan. Now we can apply this to earnings in a number of ways. Remember what we did with earnings, right? If we click add parameters, say condition, and we go to earnings dates, what if we say we had an earnings date maybe today, right? This gets it very specific, so keep that in mind. If you want to utilize just these conditions, you would need to run this essentially every day because we are very specific in our definition of when the gap up occurred. And I'm going to make it even more specific. There are a lot of people who say that after a big move in earnings, you should wait some time. There's lots of different schools of thought on how long you should wait. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I've always heard 3 days. I've always heard let price do its thing for 3 days and then let's talk. So one thing that I like to do is I like to take this idea and I like to push it back 3 candles. So we've developed it for the current candle, but if we want to take this and push it back 3 candles, we can do that. And all we have to do that is we have to define the candle that we're referring to. So if last is today, 1 candle ago is literally that, yesterday, or 1 candle ago. In this case, it's yesterday because we're using the daily time frame. But if we want to have defined this having occurred 3 days ago, then all we have to do is say 3 for this, and then we would move this back to 4, right? To make it the day before 3. And so everywhere where we have a last, we would make it 3. Everywhere we have a 1, we'd make it 4. So we'll say 3. We'll say 3. We'll say 3. And so now this happened 3 days ago. You had a big power earnings gap up 3 days ago. And so now you're only searching for names that had this power earnings gap up 3 days ago. So you're giving that time for the move to kind of digest. And maybe within that 3-day period, maybe prices come back in and filled the gap that it created. Or maybe it's just continued higher. We don't know what it's going to do from here. But this is how you can be thinking about these things. I'm going to move all of this back to the original settings because I want to give it to you with just the bare bones settings. And then I want you guys to play around with this on your own. Let me do that. This was, this is 1, 2. So is that making sense to y'all? Are you understand? Do you have any questions about kind of how I did this and how I put this together? If you have any questions about it, do let me know. I am going to also show you guys this real quick. You have these extended hours toggle here. So this would be including extended hours data. I tend to keep that turned off, especially in something like this. And then the current candle toggle, you're going to want this toggled on if you're looking for this occurring in the current candle that's forming, meaning today's candle, right? If the current candle is toggled off, and you scan this today, it's going to look at the most recently closed candle, which would be yesterday's daily. So keep that in mind. I generally will keep this current candle toggled off. And really, that's kind of what I wanted to show you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to call this power earnings gap up. I'm going to hashtag it with my name so you guys know how to find it. If you forget the title, you can always just search my name here in the search bar. I'm going to say save. Now we may find this may pull symbols. Yeah, it is pulling symbols. So remember, we have not defined an earnings date here for this particular scan yet. And you can, if you want to add an earnings condition, you can. If you want to add with this an analyst estimate upgrade, right? We could say analyst estimates within the last, 3 days. And let's say we want an upgrade to a buy. Right? So not only did we get this big gap up, but we also got analyst estimates. I'm going to save that, actually. I'm going to rerun this. So here's the scan. I want you guys to have it. I'm going to hook you up. Actually, Sadie's going to hook you up with the scan link because my chat still is not working and it's so frustrating. So here is a power earnings gap up scan with an analyst estimate upgrade within the last 3 days. Please play around with this. Adjust it. Change the conditions. Change the amounts by which or by which it's gapped up, or by how much it's closed, how much higher it's closed. Adjust these things. Play around with them. Remove the analyst estimate function. Add an earnings date function if you want to. The whole point is just to get creative here. Now, we've done the power earnings gap up. I imagine you guys might be interested as well in a power earnings gap down. I don't even know if they call them power earnings gap downs. I don't know if I've actually ever seen it referred to as that, but it would make sense that there would be a gap down version of this as well. So I'm going to give you guys homework. Anybody who's interested, I'm going to give you guys homework, and that is to create this, but for a gap down. If y'all can do it, first person to hit me with it is going to get some big props. Maybe I can even hook you up with a swag pack or something. If you guys send me, if you're watching and you're a TrendSpider user and you can create the power earnings gap down scan for me, send it to me. My Twitter account is right here. Yeah, Krutzky Trades, at Krutzky Trades. Share that scanner with me. You guys saw how I did this. This is one of the most awesome things of this platform, is that I can share this stuff with you guys this easily. So create the scan, save it, make it a fun title, whatever you want, and then go to the 3 dots right here next to save and say share, and it's going to create a link. Take this link, copy it, send it to me on Twitter. First person to do that has the conditions inputted correctly, I'm going to try and hook you up with something. So that is my TrendSpider lesson for the morning. I hope that you found that helpful. I hope that you learned a little something about the platform. We are here to do this for you guys. We want you guys to be as proficient in your trading as possible, as self-sufficient in your trading as possible. It's really what our platform is all about. We want you guys to not have to follow the pack. We don't want you guys to have to be in Discords asking furus for advice about what to do on this trade or that trade. We want you guys to be able to do this on your own, and you can. You can. Everything about the platform is designed to make it easier for you guys. So hit us with your questions if you have them. I'm going to stay here for another couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions about anything, last minute things, hit me with those questions. I've still got Sadie with me. She is keeping an eye on chat, even though my chat has gone down long ago and still not come back. And I will be happy to answer those questions. As a quick reminder to you guys, if you enjoyed the stream today, it would mean so much to me if you guys would subscribe to the TrendSpider TV channel here on YouTube. I can keep doing these if you guys keep showing up, and I want to keep doing them, and I enjoy it. And so hopefully you guys have enjoyed this too. If you did, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter at Krutzky Trades. Give us a follow. Give TrendSpider a follow on Twitter at TrendSpider on Twitter. We are kind of constantly trying to provide you guys with things like this. You know, we're sharing scans for y'all and trying to be as informative as we can for you guys. So please give us a like and a follow. I know if you watch any YouTube videos, you probably get tired of hearing that. I get kind of tired of saying it, but it's really important. It really helps us out. And if this has been helpful for you guys, do me a solid and help me out. And again, do we sell the hat I'm wearing on our website? James, build a scan. Get it over to me. Be the first person to do it, and we'll see if we can get you one. How about that? There was a time when we were selling swag packs. I don't know if we are still. We could go look. But I don't want you to have to pay for it if you don't have to. Yeah, I think for the most part, all of our swag stuff, we like to just gift it where we see applicable. But if you build a power earnings gap down scan and send it to me, James, we might be able to take care of you. First person to do it. Remember, first person to do it. All right, y'all. If nobody has any questions about this stuff, I'm going to sign off. Again, it has been a pleasure hanging out with you this morning. My name is Jason Krutzky. If you do not yet follow me on... what didn't you see, James? Hold on. What didn't you see? Dale, good to meet you in Vegas. That was fun. We had a good time. James, what didn't you see, though? If you didn't see how I made the scanner, as soon as I log out of here, this video is going to be live. Go back and watch it. All right, so I think it seems like no questions. So I'm going to get on out of here. Again, thank you guys for being here with me today. It has been a pleasure hanging out with y'all. You guys made it totally worth waking up at 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning to do this. It's been... It's been really fun. If you're trading today, be safe out there. Remember, bank earnings start tomorrow. Earnings season kicks off tomorrow. Utilize those tools that I showed you. And if you have any questions about anything, how to utilize them, how to create scans, any of that sort of stuff, you guys have my Twitter account contact information at Krutzky Trades. I am here for y'all. If y'all have questions, hit me with your questions. My DMs are open. I'm more than happy to help you guys with anything you need. So hit me up. Have a great rest of your day. Trade them well out there. Be safe. Have fun. Oh, hold on. Sadie's typing. All right. We got folks saying bye. So again, thank you all for being here. I truly do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys again very, very soon. Have a good one. Adios. Bye-bye.